Patrick at Pals, and today I wanted to talk to you folks a little bit about different oils and why they're used. And specialty oils, in the old days, and when I say old days, as little as 20 years ago, you would have a big container of 10W30 oil, and it would service most vehicles. Maybe not 20 years, maybe going back 25 to 30 years. That's what you had. It is 2024. So, but back in the early 90s, mid 90s, 5W30, 10W30, that serviced most cars. Then they began to come out with 020s, 5W20s, things like this. And now we've got all these different specialty oils that are used. And so let's just start with a non-detergent and what that is. This is Valvoline non-detergent 30 weight oil. So that means that it's a 30 weight and it is non-detergent. So there's no detergents in it to keep your engine clean. Now, why do we stock this oil? Well, we do a lot of things with old cars. For instance, I own a 48 Buick. In my straight 8 in that Buick, the car never had detergent oil. There weren't detergent oils in the 1940s. Now, there may have been detergents somewhere, but most any garage you went to in the 1940s and 50s had non-detergent 30 weight oil. 30 weight was very common. If you lived in a cold climate, you'd see 20 weight. In a real hot climate, you'd see 40 weight. But by and large, most vehicles used straight 30 non-detergent oil. Now, by the 1960s, that had begun to change, and we had detergent oils. Okay? So the only difference between this straight 30 non-detergent and detergent, a straight 30 detergent has got cleaners in it, which keep your engine clean. So what happened? We were able to add filters to the engines. In 1948, an engine had an option to put a filter on it. Most engines didn't have filters. So the non-detergent worked out really well because none of the debris came off. It just stayed inside the engine. When you have a detergent, it washes the engine, and you have to filter out the debris, and that's what an engine oil filter does. So by the 60s, things were becoming more sophisticated. We had better pressurized systems. We had better oiling, and they used a detergent oil to keep the engines cleaner. Now, also, that decelerated wear on the bearings. With a non-detergent, the buildup will wear out the bearings quicker than if you have a non-detergent, if you have a detergent. So if you can keep the engine cleaner, the bearings last longer, you get a longer life for the engine. So, if you go back to your great-great-grandfather and he was running a 1930 Model A, he was going to, redo his bearings about every 30,000 miles. Now we go 300,000 or 400,000 miles before we have to do our bearings. And why is that? Well, it's because oils have advanced. Now, this is Valvoline VR1. This is a high zinc, and right on the label it says for racing or classic cars, right? Okay, so where would you use this? Well, you would use this on like a muscle car. Let's say the 69 Dodge Coronet that we had in a month ago, right? Let's say the Le Mans that's out in the shop that we just got done resealing the engine on and replacing the camshaft. That's a 1971 Le Mans. Those cars need high zinc and they need a detergent. Okay, so this is a straight 30. Here's a straight 30 non-detergent. Here's a straight 30 detergent oil. So this has got detergent. This is great for your muscle cars, for your classic cars that take a detergent oil. This Valvoline has high zinc, This Valvoline has high zinc. Now, why is zinc important? Zinc is important for the interior of the engine, for the bearing surfaces, for the valves. All of these things need high zinc to keep them running properly. A regular motor oil right now, if you were to get a 5W30 regular motor oil detergent, it's not going to have the zinc content. It's been reduced greatly by the manufacturers because of the EPA, and they don't use zinc as commonly as they used to. So if you have an older car, you need something with high zinc in it. If you have a flat tappet camshaft, it's very important to use high zinc. Otherwise, you can flatten out the camshaft. So both of these oils have high zinc. It just depends. Was your car's engine run on non-detergent? If it is, you want to keep it on non-detergent. If it's run on detergent, you want to keep it on detergent oil. Okay, now let's take this another step. The next upgrade from that is full synthetic. This is full synthetic Pennzoil. It's a 5W30, very common weight. And this is full synthetic. Why synthetics? Well, the synthetics give you a longer time in between changing oil. Where you're looking at these two, you want to change your oil within usually 3 months or 3,000 miles. With this oil, you can go up to 10,000 miles or a year in between changes. So it's 40% better performance than conventional oil, right? That says right on the label. That's a marketing thing, and it's true. Okay, it's 40% better. So the engines, the bearing surfaces are getting better lubrication. The oil is lasting longer. It's staying cleaner longer. Everything works better. Now, take that another step to the Motorcraft oil. Why do we stock Motorcraft oil? This is 15W40 diesel motor oil. We stock that for every Ford diesel that we see. Now, why is that? Well, it's got, right on the label, of course, it says that it contains more than 10,000 ppm phosphorus for better wear protection. So that's one reason. But the biggest reason for the diesel Power Stroke, and that's what it says right on the label, they want something like zinc for their camshafts and their bearings. This oil has titanium in it. And titanium is exclusive to the Ford diesels. It is actually a requirement for those Ford diesels. They need that to run at their best. Now, will they run on regular engine oil? Sure. You could put any oil into an engine and it'll run for a while. But you want to put the weight and the viscosity and the formulation that the manufacturers need. And you've got right here Ford's specification. This meets that specification. That's for every Power Stroke. So we would never have if you bring your Power Stroke diesel to us, we would never put in a generic 15W40 diesel motor oil. Now, by the same token, if you brought in a Ram pickup truck with a 6.7 turbo diesel, we're going to use Rotella 15W40. Why? Because that's what the manufacturers say they want. If you bring in a Chevrolet, same thing. It's got an Isuzu diesel in it. That diesel engine, the engineers want Rotella used in those. So in those two diesels, we're going to use that. Now, let's say that you got a Mercedes-Benz and you bring that Mercedes-Benz to us, or you got a Mini Cooper and you bring that to us. This is a very common oil for those cars, 0W40. This is the important thing. European car formula. It protects up to 10,000 miles. It's full synthetic, and it meets the standards of these cars. Just like you've got this standard, these cars also have standards. Every car does. They all have different standards for their oil. Sometimes European cars use 0W40. Sometimes they use a a 0W20. It 5W40. There's different weights used. But the point is, if you bring your Mercedes, BMW, Mini Cooper, Fiat, whatever it is, Volkswagen, to PALS, we're going to put the correct oil in it. We're going to use a European car formula. We would not use the full synthetic or the VR1. We would use what the manufacturer calls for. So when you go to another shop, you want to make sure that they're using exactly what the manufacturer calls for. If you don't, it can cause engine failure. It can cause premature wear. Will the car run? Look, if I had a regular 0W40 or just a straight 40 weight, would a Mercedes-Benz run with that? Sure. But it wouldn't run as well, and it may cause damage. That's why the engineers say 0W40 for a car, and they want the European car formula. They don't want the formula that we use in North America. So you have some oils that are North American spec and some that are European spec. Now, generally speaking, any Honda or Toyota, so in other words, Japanese or Chinese or Korean built cars are going to do fine with the North American recipe. Anything from Europe, like your Fiats, like your Mini Coopers, your BMWs, Mercedes-Benz, Volvos, they're going to want the European car formula. And this is really important. When you bring it to PALS, you have the assurance, you know that we're professional and we're going to put the right oil in your car. When you're looking at your turbo diesel by Ford, we're going to put in the correct Motorcraft oil. When you bring in your 1930 Model A, we're going to put in a non-detergent straight 30 weight. When you bring in your Chevelle with a 454 in it, we're going to put in VR1. We're going to put in the correct oil for your application. And folks, this is just a small sample of what is out there. If you look over at my shelves, you can see all different types of specialty oils on those shelves. Now, the same thing is for antifreeze as well. And we'll get into that in another segment. But if you've got an old car that takes non-detergent, or you've got a muscle car, or you've got a new car or truck, bring it to PALS. We've got the right oil for your application. See you soon.